Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Mouth of Truth.
Welcome.
A monthly live stream from behind the scenes of Ren the Girl with a Mark. I'm Neil Oseman, showrunner, and today I'm joined by...
Stephanie Swan. You probably have seen me doing little bits on Instagram and doing a few behind the scenes on when we were actually on set. So yeah.
Yes, if you've been following any of our social media feeds, most of that has been the wonderful work of Steph. You've been doing a fantastic job keeping everyone updated. Yeah. And hopefully everyone can hear us and everything. Kate, who is kind of the streaming expert of the group, is not here today, so you're in the hands of my technical skills, and this is all very new to me. So please do let us know in the chat if you can't hear anything, or if anything else seems strange. But what we're going to do today is we are going to talk to a couple of members of the crew of Ren Season 2, but we are going to start with a little production update, because part of the point of this is to keep you all updated on what's going on in the world of Ren. And as you know, we filmed Season 2 in May. And we're now in post-production, so from the outside it probably seems like not much is happening.
Yeah.
A lot of people doing things separately in front of computers. Good, I can see in the chat there people saying that we sound good. That's
Eva.
Excellent. Hello.
Oh, hey Chris.
Hey Eva, Christopher, well done for joining us. Thank you. So it's editing is what's going on mainly at the moment, and I saw very exciting last weekend for the first time Season 2. No one, for the first time ever, it was possible for a few of us to sit down and watch all 4 episodes of Season 2. No one had seen them all before. So yeah, that's quite a moment after several years of trying to get there from Season 1. It was so nice to see it. So nice.
Was it what you expected?
Yeah. It was the story's all there, the characters, the character development, particularly between Ren and Hunter, is really great to see over the course of the season. The emotional moments are already working very nicely. There's a bit at the end where I'm not going to say any more about that because it's too much of a spoiler. But yeah, no, it's definitely working nicely. I mean, if you sat down to watch it now and you've never watched a rough cut of a film before, you'd be thinking, what is this rubbish? Because there's no visual effects, there's no music on most of it. Some shots don't have any sound, or suddenly there's a really loud leaf blower in the background or whatever.
Alan.
Alan, absolutely blasting people. You have to sort of, at this stage of the process, you have to look past all that technical stuff, just try and focus on the story and the characters. So that's what we're continuing to work on now. The editing process isn't over yet, and then we've started the visual effects as well. I reckon there are going to be probably about 80 visual effects shots in this season, which is about the same as Season 1.
Oh, okay.
Actually. Yeah. Surprising number. I thought we'd have a lot more this time, but
I mean, I was speaking to Kat, and she's going to do like a takeover on Instagram. You guys have probably seen a couple of takeovers already, but Kat, who is doing some of the effects, she will be kind of helping out with the edits and stuff, so she's going to give us a little bit of the behind the scenes on that, so that'll be exciting. But yeah, another person who you will have recognized from the takeovers previously is Rose, and Rose and Ash are the reason pretty much why we're here on this one.
Absolutely.
So I think without further ado,
if we can go over
if we can get them on.
Hello.
Hello.
Rose, you are there. You go.
Perfect. I don't know. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves? Go on, Ash. You go first.
You first.
All right. Okay, I'll go first. Hi everyone. I'm Ash Finn. I'm one of the writing team for Ren Season 2. And on this season, I was also props master, and I did some other bits helping out with the art department.
And I'm Rose Collis, and I did the production design for this season, and I'm fairly new to the team, so I wasn't a writer on season 1.
A little bit of a mix of everything. So for those of you who are new to or maybe watching this live stream for the first time, if you are a member of Patreon, you will have already seen already that you can submit questions through Patreon. I think which tier is that you can?
Everyone can do it. In fact, even if you're a free member of Patreon now, you can submit questions.
There you go. So if you are watching this for the first time and you'd like to kind of join in on further live streams or whatever, you can submit your questions in early, and then depending on how many questions we've got, sometimes we think, oh, we may have a little bit of time, so then last minute we'll open it out to the social media fans and followers, but that is kind of a thing that we keep mainly for our Patreons. So first things first, I am going to read this off the screen. I do apologise just because I can't remember them all. So question from Arkasaur. So it would be, what would you do different during filming, production, etc. in season 3? So I don't really, I don't know. I think that's kind of for both of you, really. So Rose, do you want to take that one first?
My goodness. I mean, that feels like a huge question. It's an amazing question. Like, I could not have thought of such a good question myself. But yeah, I mean, every season definitely has a very different feel to it. I mean, you know, from the perspective of season 2, you can see the difference between it and season 1 already. So, and looking at the spoilers for season 3, I can already tell that it would be a very, very different atmosphere and vibe, and the builds would be completely different scope and style and different challenges along the way. So, I guess it would come down to more like the practicalities of it, in what I'd change from what I know at the moment. And it would probably be something along the lines of probably churning out more drawings and more information of what's going on in my chaotic head, so that everyone kind of knows beforehand. Because I did a lot of like rough sketches in my book, as Ash will know way too well. So I just sent them like terrible photographs of these sketches and was like, can you make 20 of these, with not much other explanation. So I would probably create more detailed concept art and drawings for different areas and things, but a lot of it was collating the stuff that we'd been given or still had from season 1 and Born of Hope. So a lot of it was kind of make do with what you have, which was an amazing stuff to make do with. But yeah,
so much, wasn't there? Oh my god.
Yeah, it was immense. Like the piles we had, it was like 2 van loads or something in the end. Like just crazy amount of stuff. But yeah, Ash, what would you do differently?
I mean, I think a lot of it follows on from what you're saying, in that we reutilized a lot of things that we already had. We borrowed things and we kind of begged from people and got hold of lots of different things. And it's part of the nature of a show like this, where we're trying to cram so much show into such a small budget. That you end up with sort of single versions of things. So talking about props, you've got sort of have one hero sword, one map, one book. So all the really key things you've only got one version of. So if I was doing things differently for season 3, I would try and at least maybe have 2 versions of those things.
That's like a hint, hint, wink, wink.
There are a couple of incidences where really important things just through complete accident just got dropped on a rock or fell in a fire or something, and you kind of have to brush it off and just work with what you've got. But multiple versions of key props would be amazing. Definitely would like that, and starting to make them a little bit sooner too. It was all a little bit rushed towards the end of just churning things out. So
making weekends, guys, for season 3.
Making weekends.
Promoting it already. No, I do think that it's amazing though what we've achieved both in season 1 and season 2 on the budget that we have. Like I think even the comments that you see from, you know, our online fans and followers, it's like when they hear the budget, they're like, what? But yeah, but you know, we can't do it without them, sort of thing. That's where Patreon comes from, and so it's all, although they kind of feel maybe a bit distant, you guys, promise, are actually a massive part of it. So hats off to, and then
so go sign up to Patreon so that Ash can have 2 of every prop. Guys,
I can have 2 props. That's all I ask. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's absolutely, you know, the reason that it works at all is just the passion of everyone involved, both you know, in front of the screen, behind the camera, and you know, distantly spread across the world, supporting us with things like Patreon and streaming and sharing and that kind of thing. But all of those things are just absolutely essential to making this kind of show, and you feel it when you watch the show. I think you really feel that kind of magic come through, and it's the reason that we all love working on it so much, is just that amazing experience.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm just seeing there was a question that came up about will the second season be better than the first, but I'm guessing, what are the outfits like? What do they add to the character? So there were actually, we used some of the same costumes, but there were quite a few of the new characters in terms of armor, wasn't there? Yeah. For some of the Kanath. I don't want to give too many spoilers away, so I don't know who I'm allowed to mention as a new character and not. But there was some fantastic work done by the costume team and those kind of...
Yes, Suzanne Emerson, who was the costume designer this season, and building on the work that Miriam Spring Davies did in the first season, many of which costumes have been reused this time. But yes, we'll definitely have to get Suzanne on one of these.
She'd be brilliant.
At some point.
And going off, Arkansas also asked, what was the best improvement compared to season 1 in terms of filming and production, etc.? Which I guess, obviously, Ash, you were part of both, whereas I think more objectively speaking for Rose, but you can still answer. So let's get Ash to answer that one first.
Oh, well, obviously one of the biggest improvements was having Rose on board.
Yeah. She's like, oh, stop.
I know. No, it was absolutely fantastic having Rose there, and you know, not having been involved in season 1 as you weren't, Rose, coming in kind of with completely fresh eyes was really cool as well. So there was a whole bunch of us that had done season 1 things, that worked on it in between, and sort of kept chipping away at it over the years in the kind of the hiatus. And then Rose just kind of like kicked the door in and was like, here's a whole bunch of new ideas, and that was really, really fun and exciting. So that was a huge improvement. But I mean, the other aspect I think is the nature of the story has changed. The kind of narrative is different. Season 1 was very much kind of a static story. You're in Ren's kind of immediate bubble, you're in her little village, you're dealing with all the people that she knows, and there's obviously the incoming kind of threat and the awakening of that experience that then causes her to kind of leave her village. But season 2 is very much more, I think in the previous live stream, Kate described it kind of as a road trip movie, which it kind of is. So you're seeing a lot of new locations, but you're seeing them much quicker. You're kind of going from place to place to place to place, and that's that was kind of a whole new challenge, but really exciting to bring that to the screen.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I've just seen Brian's comment here of I've only seen the first season because I'm a big Sophie fan. Like, anyone who's seen season 1, regardless of how or why, you are going to absolutely love season 2. It's completely different. It brings so many, obviously it brought its challenges, but there was so many exciting things that have happened, without spoilers again, and the progression of where Ren and Hunter, where we left them in season 1 to where it gets to in season 2 is, I haven't even seen the snippets of season 3 really, but I'm already like dying to know what happens. So you guys are lucky. You guys have seen it before, but one of the lucky ones that have seen all the stuff for season 3. So, but yeah. Oh, but Rose, in terms of like, obviously, because you kind of were aware of Ren beforehand, did you kind of come like picking up on Ash's kind of what Ash mentioned? Did you kind of think, ooh, I want to improve this, or did you just think, I'm just going to come and offer these suggestions, or did you see things that you thought, this could be tweaked? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, I definitely get what Ash is saying. Like the first one is like very self-contained. It's kind of like a pond or something. Like it's this beautiful ecosystem of a village, and everyone knows everyone, and it's very much like, you know, you've got lovely connections between the characters, and then kind of just taken Ren and Hunter and dumped them into a lake and just gone like, okay, explore this chaos.
Yeah.
Which is incredible because you get so many new characters and spaces and dynamics and adversaries and challenges for the plot and characters, not just sort of production design wise, but the production design means that you have an amazing expanse to build upon. And I definitely didn't come into Ren thinking that I could improve it. I think I came in being like, this is just so exciting to be able to help build upon this world. And I really hope this isn't a spoiler. I don't think it is, but you don't see the village very much, so it's not like a returning to the pond. It's not we didn't have to repeat season 1, which I was very grateful for, because the wonderful Christopher Dane, I could never compete with what he achieved in season 1. And the whole time I was kind of like scrambling through his sketches and looking at the behind the scenes videos and photographs and like analyzing how he'd managed to do any of this. And so I'll be honored if anyone thinks that I've achieved what Christopher Dane managed in season 1 for season 2.
No, it was fantastic.
But yeah, it was a lot of different spaces. Like already just in the trailer alone, like you can see that, you know, there's a bridge and there's a tavern and there's a market and there's just so many different bits going on. And kind of every day, me and Ash were like, okay, where are we today? Like, what's going on? And we were like, oh, we're in, you know, this random place now, and we're in this place and that place, and which was just so lovely because it meant that no day was anywhere near the same. Like, you know, even if it was, okay, we're doing 2 days doing the same-ish sort of thing, you're preparing for the next day, which is going to be a campsite or a this or a that, which was so lovely and dynamic. It didn't feel at all static, which, I mean, I wasn't on season 1, but
yeah,
I hope that was an improvement for those who were on it. I love the change in the rolling sets and stuff, though it is slightly more stressful than a singular set.
I was gonna say though, like, I mean, you say it's stressful. You guys, it is such a big project that the sheer amount of locations and things that you guys had to cover, it can be quite daunting, but you guys just seem to take it on the chin. I mean, I say that, like, whenever I saw you guys, you weren't crying in a corner. So.
We did very well.
Sleeping in a corner.
Sleeping in a corner, yeah. And I know, obviously, you know, that you did have hands to help and stuff, but you guys kind of were like the leaders of kind of, right? Because I remember one weekend I rocked up, and that was the first time I met you, Rose, and you were just like, okay, I don't have time, but here's Ash, and Ash can tell you what to do. And I'm like, okay.
So sorry.
I think you were making the phony pony at this point. And but yeah, no, like neither of you guys seemed phased at all, which I find remarkable and really kind of like quite an inspiration, really, the fact that you guys just took it on the chin and were like, right, let's adopt these, what can we do with it? And then even just last minute changes that I saw you guys make, like if someone asks for something, you're like, okay, let's do this. Obviously I won't say what they are, but yeah, no, so
well, one of them was the ears for the pony.
Yes,
which was a bit of a mad one, because we were like told to like that the ears probably wouldn't be in, like make them just in case, but they probably won't be in. But just time disappeared. Who knows where it went? It went and joined the Kanath or something. But we were like there, and suddenly it was like, okay, the ears are in shot, and we were like, oh, okay, cool. How long do we have? 5 minutes. Okay, cool. So I think my very own mother was on set that day, and I was like, "Hi, Mum, maybe some horses. Okay, bye." And he just like came back sort of 5 minutes later and produced this like amazing like headband made out of a coat hanger with a pair of ears on top, and I was like, "Okay, amazing, right, cool, go."
I was
like
very
it was
impressed by
there
that.
was some manic moments,
and we should probably explain for anyone
yeah.
who's missed those bits of the behind the scenes that we put out so far, is that we do have a horse chase in the first episode. I think that's widely known now. And you know, we couldn't shoot all of it with real horses. Some of it we certainly did, but other bits, you know, for obvious safety reasons, we had to do with phony ponies, which, you know, are basically what they sound like. They're kind of fake horses in front of a blue screen. Do you guys want to explain what they were made out of?
Well, for season 1, we did also use a phony pony. We had one phony pony that was made out of a bunch of crates nailed together with a barrel on the top, and it was pretty simple. It was pretty straightforward. So
with wheels.
It did have wheels, yeah. So it could be very, very slowly wheeled across the car park. So for season 2, we have 3. So we've gone from a horse to a cavalry, which was really fun. So it's a bit of a step up. And the team that built them, Ross was really key in that. And so there was a whole bunch of people that was involved in making those. And they just came up with this incredible design, which is it's like a horse-shaped back on a stand. And it's got like a separate articulated neck and head that some poor person, mostly me and Rose, laying on the floor underneath this horse's head, just moving this thing up and down like this, so its head kind of moves as you ride it, which sounds ridiculous, but looked amazing. And I mean, partly it's the design of the thing, and the actors just sold it incredibly well. They didn't go, what is this? They went, I can act a horse on that, and they got it, and they just sold it, and they did such a fantastic job while we're just lying right underneath their heads, just moving their head up and down. I don't know how
pushing a tire from the back.
Somebody at the back pushing this the big tractor tire to make the thing move. I mean, it's fantastic. They all did an absolutely amazing job. But the ears, I think, really sold it, because you just see the edges of the ears in the camera shot. That it.
All thanks to Rose's mum.
Thanks, Mum. But they were all based around these tractor tires that the farmer gave us, and I put a just in case anyone wants a visual of this crazy manic contraption, that Frankensteinian contraption that we made. I put it on the Instagram takeover that I only did for a very short time, but it's on the reel and on the story if anyone wants a photograph of this chaos. It worked surprisingly well though. Like I was very impressed when I looked at the screen. Most of the time I was at a horse's butt making the actor look like they're moving, but
you did quite a lot of that as well.
I did, yeah. If I wasn't kind of like taking behind the scenes, like, Steph, can you just push the back of this horse? I'm like,
push the horse back.
Yeah.
But then you don't want to go too aggressive, because you don't know like how quick they're supposed to be riding and all this stuff. I was like, oh, okay.
And then like the director's notes were like, okay, the head needs to move more and the butt less, and like it was so confusing, like trying to get it. That's right.
No. I think it was about 6 people per horse in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was amazing.
All manner of things flying as well. So
one of my favourite bits watching the edits the other day was one of the phony pony shots where they go from a canter to a trot, and it's all just the actors changing their movement, and then it cuts to the real shot of the horse, and it really works. It's very
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I thought you were going to say, and then suddenly Ash stood up in the shot. And
hi, guys. It's just me.
Of course, Ash plays half the Kanath that are chasing you when you hunter on the horse anyway.
That's true, I did. Yeah. Well, there was one bit when I think you were playing the horse, Rose, so it really was, everyone was
true. I was also the entire horse at one point.
Many talents here in the casting crew.
Multifaceted, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Another question that came through, this was from Dan Robbins, and it says, what was the most challenging part of your work to ensure the best authenticity for the show? That's quite a broad, that's quite, there's so many aspects of that as well.
Yeah.
yeah, from your guys, I guess.
Great question.
Yeah, I guess let's split it in two, because Ash, you can definitely talk from the writing side of it and the creation of the characters, and then Rose, like obviously the authenticity of kind of some of the props maybe and things. So that would be quite a good insight. So Ash, yeah, do you want to start? Would you want to take that one first?
Yes, definitely. So in terms of sort of authenticity, I guess what we're sort of thinking about is how to create a fantasy world that's true to itself. So we're not looking at authenticity in terms of sort of historical realism, because we're set in a world that's come out of an imagination. So it has to be true to the way that the world is designed, the way that the magic operates, the way that the structure of the society functions. All those things have to hold true through all of the seasons and all of the media that the world of Ren is presented in, or it all starts to fall apart. So that was one of the big challenges that we had as a team of writers, where you haven't got a book adaptation that you're working from, where all of the world building is laid out for you. You're kind of creating as you go, which was really, really exciting, but was definitely a challenge. We'd find all sorts of things that we just stumble across as we were writing, and we'd think, wait, hang on, is there a coastline? Or hang on, how do they know about this thing? And you'd have to sort of work your way backwards to then build that into it. Obviously, Christopher Dane and Kate Madison have created this huge world, and they've done an amazing job to fill in so much of the detail. It's just astonishing, the richness of the backstory that sits behind the bits that you see on the screen, which is just amazing. And we really kind of just like picking bits out of it, and then working on those and changing them little bits and adding bits to it, and on top of the sort of the whole framework that they created for this series. So when we were approaching season 2, we kind of really had to use the characters of Ren and Hunter as our focal points to keep that authenticity, and follow through on their storylines and how their interactions with each other are affected by what's happening to them, how their sort of bigger story arc, just this little snippet of it will be seen over the course of season 2. And then you bring in all the other additional sort of characters that interact with and play off them, like the commander, and some of the other people that we're going to meet in season 2 that I can't talk about. And that was just really fun. And when we were sort of writing on it, Kate, Neil, and other Ash who also worked on the scripts. I mean, Ash's big sort of passion is about characters and sort of character realism and all the little moments that make characters come alive on the screen. And that was just a really amazing process to be part of that. So and just to sort of throw in a little bit from the prop side as well, one of the things that was really important to me was to bring in little aspects of authenticity into the design of what the characters were sort of using and interacting with every day. So there's little bits and pieces that we added into their sort of wardrobe and their props, like Ren has a coin purse that she uses at one point in the Rose, I could see your face, but and I really wanted that to be, it's one of the only things that Ren still has from her original life, and so I made it out of a bit of fabric that came from a dress that young Ren wears in a flashback scene.
Oh, amazing.
So she has this lovely little sort of pinafore dress, and I used the same fabric to make her purse from. So there's the kind of the story behind it of maybe she grew out of the dress, or it got a hole in it, so she turned it into something else functional. So it's kind of building that kind of palimpsest of the character of little bits that adds little bits to make a character that an actor can inhabit and think, this is a real person.
That's such a nice touch as well, like, because also from the background and stuff, you do get that kind of sense that where she's from, she's very quite thrifty is not the right word, but like she is very intelligent and makes use of everything that's to within her reach, really. So I didn't even know that. I'm just a little bit like,
no, I didn't know it either.
Cute.
No, that's really nice.
That's why Rose is just like this. Like.
I know. I think it was driving you slightly crazy because I was just sort of stitching this thing. I think we were doing a night shoot at the time. I think it's when we were doing some stuff at the mill, and I was just like this and
hand stitching. I was like, oh, you're never gonna see it, Ash.
No, but I've told the world, so they all know it's there.
They all know it's there. It's fine. It's out there. Yeah. Everyone looked for it. Yeah. It was so cute. Yeah. It was so sweet.
What about you,
I think that was one of my favorites.
I was gonna say, is there, well, like in terms of obviously being production designer, was there kind of any kind of key elements that you wanted to focus on in terms of like, right, I really want to bring this out of either a set or particular props? Or
I think I love like magic and fantasy worlds, and I just love the idea of creating something that people feel is magical when you walk into it. And I really do think it's those little details that make that, because the camera in likelihood will never see it, because even if it's seen in a singular take, that might not be the one they use in the edit. So you kind of know going into it from a filmy side of things that nothing you do is ever going to get seen, which is so harsh. But the thing is, the one thing you haven't thought about probably is going to get seen. So you have to think about everything.
Yeah.
And like holding Ash back from hand stitching everything on set was a challenge, but we made it through. But those tiny details is what like makes the world of Ren, is because people care. And that was just astonishing to me, because I'd say on the makers weekends, I'd give the lovely Eva from Germany flown all this way, and I'd hand her a ton of random bits of dough and be like, can you paint these to look like beans? Okay, bye. But it's the tiny details of like, there was tons of food in the market, and there was tiny jars filled individually by all of our lovely prop makers, predominantly Ash and their lovely family, who I'd be forever indebted for making these tiny little jars. My favorite being a little knath, it's stuck in the jar. But yeah, I think
spoiler.
Just
try and spot it.
Yeah, see if you can see it. But yeah, but like the details of it is definitely something that I've always loved, and making sure that there's details that can be seen, and there's certain specific hero props which the actors interact with that a lot of care and love was put into. And I love making things look old. I love the aging process, which is another fun one. So I keep tons of shoe polish in my toolkit to make fake grease on stuff.
Yeah.
So everything in the market was grimy, like it was disgusting. Yeah. It was all rolled in mud. I apologize to anyone on that set, but it did look great. So yeah, making sure things were authentic, and yeah, going back to authenticity and all that kind of thing. The world of Ren has this tremendous challenge in regards to sourcing props.
Yeah. In
that you can't have writing, like there's no written stuff for the most part. So you can't just go down to TK Maxx or the local charity shop and just kind of scoop everything, because no engravings, no clothes with writing on, no signage. So for instance, in the market, we couldn't have any signs saying this way for bread or this way for clothes. Like you had to visually tell that story. So that was a big challenge that I definitely wanted to work really hard to achieve. So even in the tavern, there's a shot in the trailer where you can see some big jars in the background. They were full of actual oil and fake wine. And they had little paper labels on them, but they don't have writing on. They have drawings of grapes and olives instead of writing. So just those kind of like tiny details of making sure that, well, I hope that no one can stop any point in Ren and they will not see any writing in the background unless it's very much intentionally meant to be there. So yeah, that was my main push for authenticity of that challenge.
Absolutely. And I just want to give a few shout outs here, because there's some people who are watching right now. So obviously Chris, who helped out, his family came in and they helped on the props. Peter and Katie as well, they obviously came in, and Katie made a slingshot. I'm sure anyone who's watching at the moment, you can see in the comments. And Peter helped with building the stalls and stuff. But honestly, all these little bits, I don't think, like, how I don't think people realize. They think, oh, you know, I don't think that will get seen, but it just creates this richness of like, even though you think it might not be seen, trust me, it makes a huge difference to not only visually on camera how rich the environment is, but also for the actors and the supporting actors who need things to interact with and things like that. I do think that, you know, every tiny little bit is appreciated, which is why when we're kind of like shouting out on socials to begin with these making weekends, we're just like, please, anything. But no, absolutely. There was, you know what, there was, funny you should mention about your shoe polish. A cast/crew member who shall not be named says, Rose, can you tell the people just how incredible and Mary Poppins-esque your belt and toolbox was? I don't think there was anything you didn't have.
Yeah,
not wrong.
For this production, I ended up purchasing a ginormous toolbox, which was bigger than me, and I could definitely fit in it 100% and just be wheeled around by Ash. But so there was the toolbox, and then my tool belt, and then the pockets in my trousers, and then Ash, and then all of our jacket pockets. We had just stuffed them full of a random assortment of things that would be useful. And we had our sort of Ren men's to go. So we had like scraps of leather and the leather cording in Ren's dress and all that kind of like detail stuff that if you forget something, you're stuffed. So we had all of this kind of everywhere. We had tons of it, and sort of spare sewing equipment and tons of tape and everything like that. And I'm usually known on set for being the one covered in tape, like rolls of tape everywhere, because you never know when you're going to need duct tape, and I stand by that. So like there was one day when we didn't quite have the knife sheath for Alex, who plays Hunter, ready, just because it was still being made. Oh, sorry. And so we were in the middle of a forest, and I had just like my tiny toolkit, and I was like, right, how do I make a sheath? And like in 10 minutes, just sort of double-sided tape and duct tape made a sheath, but it luckily wasn't in very many shots. So keep an eye out for that monstrosity that I whipped up. But yeah, I had an enormous toolbox and belt, and then added that to all of Ash's stuff and Kate's stuff. And yeah, we had a humongous props area, which was awesome. I think we managed to cover most things.
Oh, trying to pack all those up at the end, I'm sure was... I remember unpacking it, and when we were trying to do the set out the market, for example, you were like, right, okay, so rugs are here and jars are here and this is here and that is here, and how that was then kind of just organized. But like even then, still outside of that, there was still stuff lying around if you needed anything extra. Yeah, no, it was amazing. The other part of that question, which does make me laugh, was do we know whereabouts any of the pegs are to this day? So you might want to for anybody who is watching this who doesn't know, I probably won't be able to tell it in such a funny way, but on one of the last days, Rose introduced a game of sorts, I guess. one of Neil's reactions was like, where are the pegs coming from? But yeah, and the idea being that you had to put a peg on someone, and the idea being that they hadn't realised and they were walking around with these pegs on them. And but yeah, Rose, you'll be able to explain it better, but do you know where any of the pegs are? I feel like we need to bring it back in season 3.
Oh hell yeah. I mean, I just decided in my almighty role as chaos creator to bring in pegs, and I've played it on a couple of other sets because it's a game you can play silently. So even during a take, you can put a peg on someone and they hopefully won't notice. We managed to get 6 on Sophie Black, who's the director of episode 4 Bag, during a take, which I was very proud of. Neil was very angry at me, but it's fine. So
it was the moment that Neil like lifted his hood up and he looked like a hedgehog with so many pegs on the back of it. Then you realised it was just a losing battle and you weren't going to win now.
But I've always thought it's quite important to have like games and a bit of frivolity on set, because everything is a really long day and everything's tiring and you can't make noise for a lot of it. And so the pegs were definitely my fault. I will take full responsibility and I fully expect to not be able to move for pegs if I do season 3. We will come back for that soon, and the pegs are still floating around. There's a box of pegs in my toolbox, 100%.
Chris just says in the comments he's got 2 of them.
Excellent. Yes.
Ready to go, ready for season 3.
Yeah, ready to go, let's go.
I ended up with quite a lot in my car, I think. I was still finding them weeks later, just like hidden in things.
I got one on your windscreen wiper.
You did, and I found it when I put my windscreen wiper on, and I was like, there's a peg. What is this?
They were everywhere, honestly. It was great.
So speaking of props, going back to the questions, because I'm very aware that loads of people have asked them, and we're like going through time quick as anything, so I want to get all these out. So going back to props, there was a question that came in. What was the most challenging last minute prop/set request that you had? Obviously we've talked about the ears, but was there anything else that you suddenly thought?
There was a last minute set, which was literally last minute. It was the last thing that we shot in the whole shoot, the whole main shoot sequence, which in my head I called a 40-minute forest. Which you remember this? Johnny Howard, who'd come back to do some.
That was a dream.
It was the very last day, and Johnny said, we need to do just a couple of extra shots in Wales, but we're not in Wales anymore. And obviously we could wait until it's dark and then try and go and shoot it in the woods somewhere near here. Or could you maybe just run up a forest really quick? And I think by this point you and I were like
20 minutes.
That's fine. Just go have a cup of tea. It'll be done by the time you got back. And I think we did an all right job. We really did just sort of literally just pull bits of greenery in and just lean it against the walls, and it looked amazing. It really did.
And then I switched strings causing the breeze. All the
swaying, all the little I mean, it's the lighting looked fantastic. I mean, that was all sold it, all of
lighting.
Amazing lighting.
It works really well actually, and it's cut in with stuff that we did do in Wales. Well, I can't give away too much of the scene, but you wouldn't know. It works.
It works. Okay, that's good. We did it.
That's all we need.
That's a strange thing about the role, is that you kind of don't know if something's worked or not for a lot of it, because we were sat there with strings and bits and bobs basically intermingled with the set, and sometimes me and Ash were in costume, so you don't know if something looks okay until you get the okay in the edit. So it's nice to hear that it worked.
I remember there was a scene that we were doing, I don't think it's a spoiler, but I won't say it just in case, but it was set at the Cambridge, but you had it was a forest type set, and but it obviously wasn't actually a forest, and it was leant up against this kind of cart, and I just remember like you and Ash just kind of holding these branches. Can you see any gaps? Like, and we're just like, there and there, and like, and then I think you guys just hid behind a branch at some point because there's this one gap that wouldn't close.
There's an amazing photo of me, which I think might become my profile picture at some point, of just me in a car park, just hugging a tree to make it look like it was in the shot.
There's a very similar picture of Ash actually from season 1.
Oh really?
Spot the difference.
Fine tradition.
We have become the art department.
Oh, brilliant. So sorry, I'm just scanning through these other questions here.
The multiple directors.
The multiple directors thing is quite. And you know what? Like, I would say from from Rose in particular. Obviously, Ash, like you've got different directors, but the kind of the script's already written. But for Rose, like you're obviously working with multiple directors on different episodes. Like, how did you find that?
I thought it was a very interesting challenge, and I haven't really done that before, and it's more common in TV for that to happen. So it was really nice to have that experience of changing directors, and it was really interesting coming in as a newcomer, with Ash being sort of my assistant or like prop master, but they knew the directors more than I did. And you knew everyone, and I was like, oh, okay, hi guys, I'm new. But yeah, so working with obviously like Kate and then Chris and then Johnny and then Sophie was it was really interesting seeing the different directing approaches, and some of them had very specific requests for the production design, and some of them had very vague requests for certain things, or sort of didn't know where they wanted to go with it. So it was a bit more of kind of like, okay, well, here are 3 options, what sort of works for you. So yeah, it was a very interesting experience working with 4 directors. So yeah, I thought it was quite interesting, but there were some moments where they were like, oh, okay, there's the notorious bedrolls, which are the camping mats that Ren and Hunter wear. Poor old Ash is having flashbacks now. But the bedrolls that are carried by Ren and Hunter in every scene, or majority of. So the continuity of those, making sure that they're wearing them, making sure they're the right way around, making sure they're wrapped correctly, because Ash had to do a lovely detailed job on the bedrolls. They were, of course, not simple, but they looked gorgeous. So we had to make sure that they, of course, so we had to make sure that they looked right in every shot. And working with the different directors and saying to them, no, you have to have the bedrolls, or like, this director is doing this with the bedrolls. Do you want to do that? Okay, no change. Trying to maintain a continuity between them. And sometimes we put our foot down and we were like, no, you have to take the bedrolls. You don't have a choice. So there were some things that we had to kind of design overrule the directors, which was quite funny.
It's one of those like TikToks where it's like the put your foot down and then they're like shaking the cup like oh no, I think like all the directors were lovely, like, but yeah, it is a task, like, everybody has their own vision and stuff, and trying to make it cohesive, as you say, is a challenge in itself.
So much to think about for each of them, that you being like, sorry, what do you want to do about the bedroll in this scene? That like, just like, what? And you're like, okay, we're doing this. So yeah, bless them, they put up with me very well, all of them.
So kind of like bouncing off that, Ash, then, so obviously you were a part of the writing team. How did you kind of feel kind of seeing your scenes come to life? Because obviously the directors are going to chop and change things as well. So how did you find that?
I mean, ironically, for somebody that did the writing, there kind of aren't really words to express what that's like. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Sort of something that has just sat in my head, and I've talked about it with the others on the writing team. We all collaborated on those things together, but you kind of inhabit those spaces that you create, or you co-curate. Words. Particularly things like the tavern, the Smoke and Ever Tavern, the Heretics Market, the bridge. They're all bits of scene that I worked on quite sort of extensively in the writing phase, and I had in my head a sort of really specific image of what those places were going to be like, and a real feel for them. And sometimes when they the sets were built and you were there and you were seeing it and the actors in it, you're like, this is exactly what I pictured. This is amazing. I thought that person would be there, and I thought that thing would be there, and this is actually what it looks and feels and smells like, and this is how I imagined it. But then there are other sets. I mean, the market is definitely one of them, that when I sort of pictured it when I was writing it, I had in my head this sort of huge cavernous space, really echoey, sort of little figures in the distance, and sort of a really dark but kind of big space. And Rose's design for that was completely different, and it was fantastic. It was so much better for the way that you designed it. It's and you can see it in the trailer. It's the ceiling's really low. It's really claustrophobic. Everyone's sort of pushed in together, and you just feel like there's just eyes watching you from every corner, and everything's got all these sort of textures and shadows, and it's a really eerie space, not necessarily, you know, malevolent, but it has such potential to go bad at any moment. And it was, because it was such a sort of a 360 set as well, you could stand in it and see nothing modern in any direction that you looked. And going into that as somebody that kind of did the writing for it and wrote some of the dialogue and things, and just being like, this is incredible. It was so amazing, absolutely amazing. And that was definitely a really fantastic step up from what I pictured to what actually happened. It was really, really cool.
Oh, amazing. I think we're going to take just 2 more questions and then we're going to have to wrap this up. So one was from Chris, and he was saying, what's your favorite set piece? So I guess both of you worked on the set, so you know you can both answer that. Rose, what would be yours?
Such a hard question, Christopher. Why did you have to ask that? I don't know. They're all my like Ren children. Like they were creations, and I was so honored to bring them from start to finish. Like that was just amazing for all of them. I mean, the marker was just like a very much a personal sort of, because everyone's, as Ash was saying, like I completely overwrote some of the ideas. I'm sorry for anyone that I've changed the idea of, but seeing it from start to finish and having so much creative freedom. And Neil was so good at just kind of being like, here's the script.
Here you go, run with
I was
it.
like, oh my gosh, okay. Here's 17 pictures that I found. Poor old Neil dealing with my craziness, but
you did well.
Well done. But yeah, so the market was just an incredible one. But I think the carriage would probably be my second favorite set build.
Yeah. Ash, what about you? Any particular favorites? I mean, I know you obviously spoke about seeing your script come to life, but are there any particular like?
I mean, and the market was definitely a favorite just because it occupied so much time. It was the biggest set. We were in there for the most amount of days, and it was actually sort of 3 or 4 sets in one, because we reconfigured it over several days to create more aspects of the same physical space. So, and just the amount of stuff that was in there was just unbelievable. But I really loved the tavern as well. It was just such a lovely space in there. We had, although we spent more time on the market, we kind of kept coming back into the tavern in between doing other things and just sort of making little tweaks to it and putting other little bits in there, and having a quick and it felt really sort of lived in. It had a really lovely kind of warm vibe to it when you were in that space, and there was sort of little touches, like there was straw on the floor and like bits of broken pottery and all the candles, and it was just a really kind of, I felt it was a really welcoming environment, and it
was quite homely.
It was, it was this place you kind of wanted to be in. It was really nice. So I really
as all the patrons felt. Trying to get them out the bar.
True.
I think go on.
No, I was just going to say, with all the work you just talked about that went into the market, which did look amazing and does look amazing in the edit, by the way. Going back to the earlier question about things that changed from the 2019 script, one thing was that the Heretics market was originally just a couple of minutes at the end of the final episode. That's how Ash originally wrote it. Yeah. So I think we're probably all quite glad that we made a bit more out of it, given all the effort that had to go into building it.
Yeah. I think also as well, I think my favourite bit was shout out to Sanjay who did that amazing archway. You guys will know it when you gotta watch it. Gotta sign on and watch it.
The staircase.
It was phenomenal. So it's basically a stone staircase that isn't stone, but you would have no idea. Fantastic, absolutely amazing. Well, kind of merging 2 questions together, because bouncing off Neil's kind of thing that he mentioned about the writers' retreat, someone kind of wrote in, Jacob wrote in and said, did the scripts change much from 2019 writers' retreat, or were they quite similar? and I'm going to pair that with Katie B from who is watching at the moment, who said, is there anything you wanted to make sure was the same between season 1 and 2? So kind of pairing those together, kind of what did you want to keep the same as season 1, if anything, and what changed from kind of the initial ideas to now?
Well, in sort of in terms of the scripts and how those changed from the writing retreat, if you sort of go back and watch that video, by the end of that process, we were sort of sitting there saying, we've got 6 episodes, it's really great, we're really excited. Season 2 has now got 4 episodes. So I mean, that's one of the biggest changes, is that once we sort of finished that process, Neil took the scripts, and in the sort of hiatus period when we were trying to work out how we were going to get this season made, Neil took those scripts and did what amounted to an absolutely fantastic job to say what's actually essential to the story here. What are the additional extra bits that are really nice to have, but are maybe distracting from the core of Ren's story. And that sort of brought it down. It made it a lot not necessarily simpler, but a lot more refined. I think we're really focusing in on Ren and her narrative and what's happening to her, and Hunter as well. And so we I think it's a lot better for that. It's a lot tighter. It's a lot more focused on the story that needs to be told. So that's kind of one of the biggest changes, I think, from the writers' retreat. There were some other characters that we were originally going to meet in this season, which we might now meet later on. Some other bits of story, which I think have got sort of partitioned off, and we might sort of circle back to and look at later. But the sort of the core of it is still there. Lots of the core things that happened, some of the core storylines for people like the Commander are still in there, which is really, really cool. So yeah, I mean, just hats off to Neil for doing an amazing job with that, because it was a tough job. Nobody wanted to do it, and Neil did it really, really well. So so yeah, that was fantastic. Sorry, what was the other bit?
No, that was basically it. It was just kind of what would you keep the same between season 1 and season 2, and then kind of what has changed. So no, thank you. That honestly, it's great to see you. It's so nice to see you both. Obviously, everyone's got busy lives, so just to get you guys on here and taking an hour out of your evening to kind of share with us and the fans is like, we genuinely are grateful for it. And
thank you for having us,
sharing your expertise. But yes, I feel like we should probably kind of wrap up, just because
So thank you very much, guys. I'll see both of you very soon, because we've got some more filming to do. But, enjoy a little bit of peace and quiet anyway.
Amazing to see you guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
Oh wow, that was Rose Collis, production designer, and co-writer and props master Ash Finn there, brilliant members of the team. One thing that Ash just alluded to there was some of the scenes that were eliminated from the script, and one of the ways you can see some of those is on our Patreon page. 2 major sequences that were cut out actually have been posted on Patreon already this year, and some other sequences that were actually flashbacks in the 2019 draft that came out have been turned into a short story called The Retha, which is in 3 parts. The first part went up last month, the second part is coming out very soon, third part's coming next month. So look out for that. If you're not on Patreon, do check it out. It's patreon.com/Ren the Girl with a Mark, or you can find the link in the description, or all over our social media. And you can sign up for free. There are various different paid tiers, but if you want to just join and get the basic level and know a bit about what's going on and follow us, you can do that for free. Absolutely. And then there are all kinds of exciting things that you can get at the other tiers. Some other things we've posted recently are season 2 wallpaper downloads, The Building the World video that we posted here on YouTube recently, our patrons got that a week early, our marked ones as we call them. And coming up soon we've got Ash was going to give you a little preview, but we didn't quite get time for it. Ash made an amazing map of Phalaxia, which is the region of Elathia that Ren lives in, and it's a sort of key prop in a scene in season 2. But if you want to get a download of that and see it in all its detail, that is on, or will be on Patreon very soon. And we might even do a lore post in the next couple of months where we sort of dig into what some of these places are on the map, because Ash has worked it all out. You know,
it's fantastic.
The
like the detail that Ash, Chris, Kate have all created for the world of Ren. Like there's so much that we want to get through. So particularly on Patreon, you'll be able to get those little behind the scenes gems.
Oh, and the other thing we have coming up soon is a tour of the market set with Steph. That we recorded when it was in quite an early stage of being built. Yeah,
very like a bare bones structure. And then what I think you guys are going to love is, if you saw that, there's also one on our Instagram which is kind of a bit further on, and then you'll see it in its full glory come when season 2 is released. So if you love kind of seeing the progression of things, that's definitely one that I would say is going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely look out for that. So it's patreon.com/Ren, the girl with the mark, and it all the money goes towards enabling us to do another season, basically. We definitely don't want to stop at season 2. If you want to help season 3 happen, that is the way to do it.
And I think also we've introduced those of you who are just joining and are kind of like learning about, because we've changed the tiers and added extra things into the tiers. So we have merch now. We have merch, yes. So Neil put out a kind of a request asking you guys what you wanted. There's kind of, I've seen mock-ups around of various different merchandise and things like that. So you guys asked for it, we're going to give it to you. So depending on which tier you're in as well, you can get your hands on some Ren with the girl with the mark merch.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, I mean, obviously this is a monthly live stream. So do you want to let them know what's up next?
Yeah. So we're the second Thursday of every month, 8 p.m. UK time. So the next one is September the 14th, and very excitingly, our guest on that episode will be none other than Alexander Hackett, who plays Hunter.
This is going to be such a good one.
Yeah.
He's such a character. You guys are going to love him. But so if you are part of our Patreon, obviously, as I mentioned at the beginning, you can already, I think, when can they start submitting their questions?
It'll be about a week and a half before July, so early September.
Yeah, so those of you who are on Patreon, obviously feel free to drop your questions in there. Equally, if you are any member, so from free all the way up, you can pop your questions in, and if we do have time, obviously we will take your questions from the live stream and from social media as well. So but the Patreon, you guys get first dibs on your questions. So cool. I think that's it.
Thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the evening.
And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
See you next month. Bye.